like to call this Whitfield County Board of Commissioners meeting to order for the 13th of May, 2024. If you will please silent or mute your cell phone. All who are able, please stand for our invocation, followed by our pledge.
Let us pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we just come and pause now to thank you for who you are and thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Dear Father, thank you for such a wonderful county that we live in and can serve. We just pray that we'll do the people's business tonight and do that serving. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for everything that you have provided for us. And go with us and guide us. Forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May the record reflect we have all 5 commissioners present and we meet our quorum requirements. The commissioners and the public were made aware of our agenda approximately 6 days ago. The only slight change is that item 11 and 12 will be a second reading, not just item 11. That wasn't totally clear. So both of those will be a first reading. We will not take any action on either 11 or 12, but those will be our first readings on both of those. So just for clarification, not any changing to the item itself. But are there any other changes to the agenda for the commissioners? Motion to approve the agenda with the minor change?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins is second. Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. There is our regular consent agenda items related to budget amendments and purchasing from last month's meeting, only related to last month's approvals. The minutes were also sent out last week, about 6 or 7 days ago. Any corrections to the minutes? Did you find any misspellings?
I think we're in good shape.
We're in good shape. Blanca would never misspell anybody's name. Did anybody else find any changes or corrections to the minutes?
I make a motion we accept the agenda.
The minutes?
Minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to accept the minutes as presented. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, we had our day of prayer a little over a week ago on May 2nd, and Commissioner Robbins and myself presented this proclamation, but we just need to ratify that. Is there a motion to ratify our proclamation?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Now we have our Employee of the Month, Miss Alicia Reed. From our tax commissioner's office, if she and Danny Sane can come forward. Hi there. Nice to meet you. Danny, can you tell us a little bit about Miss Reed?
Well, I can. A lot of you don't know this, but Whitfield County has really had a big position in the state of Georgia as far as motor vehicles are concerned. We've been the first of many, many things. We're still right now on 2 different pilot programs. It's because of people just like Miss Reed. Let me tell you something about her job. First of all, her job is not a description. If it goes on in the building, that's her job. It doesn't really matter what it is. If she sees a need, she jumps to it. And I'm just real proud of Alicia and what she's done. Phones, drive-through, I've seen her everywhere. She's out front working on everything, property tax, car tax, everything. But her main job is all of the titles and things that go through today is on her desk for tomorrow. Because she, when she's not out front doing other things, will be verifying all the information. There's lots of chances for errors whenever the phones are ringing and kids are hollering and everything is so noisy, and those of you who've been out there, it is noisy. We're proud of our location, but I'm more proud of people like Alicia, who really works so hard and tirelessly and never gets a word, really never says anything but just thank you and does her job. So I'm real proud of Alicia and everything she does for Whitfield County.
Thank you for handling all our finances. Over to the center.
Congratulations.
I'll let Alicia's mother stand up here. She's responsible.
you. Thank you. All right, we have one presentation tonight. David Moyer, come forward, please. We've got your slides already here, so happy to hear from you. Our Northwest Georgia College and Career Academy.
Yes, sir. So my name is Dave Moeller. I'm the CEO of the Northwest Georgia College and Career Academy. I'm also the CTA Director for Whitfield County Schools. And I just come here to tell you guys, talk a little bit about a program that we developed probably about a year ago. We're on our second cohort right now. But one of the things I always do when we're looking for a program to put at the College and Career Academy, it's not just about what we're going to do to benefit our students, but also how we're going to benefit our partners in our community. How are we going to create that talent pipeline? And that's one of our missions. That is our mission, is to create a 21st century workforce. Open invitation if anybody ever wants to come out to the College and Career Academy. You're definitely welcome to do so. We would love it. With me, I have Ms. Sherry Travisano. She's our principal of the campus. And together we kind of run that beast, and it's a pretty awesome job. But if you could just go ahead, I really want to talk about our First Responders Academy. It originated, we went to a conference, saw some ideas that was going on down in Atlanta, in and around Clayton County. I came back, met with our fire departments here. I said, hey, they're doing something with high school students down there, kind of training them up. What is your talent pipeline looking like? Is this something you need? So the concept was created basically to create that talent pipeline for first responders using high school students. Then decrease attrition rates for new firefighters as they go into the training program, and then have something that's cost effective for both of the agencies. If you could. We knew we had to create partnerships. Our school is basically run on partnerships with all of our industry partners. Obviously, we're the main partner. We wrote a grant to kind of get this First Responders Academy going to increase that talent pipeline. It was actually through the Georgia Powell Foundation for Public Education. That helped us buy some of the initial equipment that we needed to do to launch this and get it going. Whitfield County Schools provided the space, the location, allowed us to be a little bit flexible with our building to make sure that the students had a place to go. Whitfield County Fire Department, probably one of the greatest partners we've had. They came in, they provide all the training for our high school students. That's the one thing I like to tell people when I go out and I promote this program. All of the instruction happens from Whitfield County Firemen. It's not teachers like most CTA classes. You have a teacher that might be teaching healthcare, or you have a teacher that might be teaching another trade that they've done in the past. This is actually taught by Whitfield County Fire Department. Georgia Northwestern Technical College, they got on board when we were looking to add that emergency medical technician part. We needed a program that was already up. We worked with them. They agreed to move their program from Catoosa County down to the Whitfield Murray campus, put that install that on that campus. Whitfield County Fire, again, they provide instructions for that as well. And then the Boy Scouts of America. One of the things we wanted to do when we were addressing that attrition rate to make sure that as folks go in through that training program, that they stay in that training program, we decided to partner with the Boy Scouts and actually create an Explorers Post at the College and Career Academy. The idea is to actually expose students in 9th, 10th grade, 11th grade to the activities and to some of the tasks and trades that they're going to have to be doing while they're a firefighter or an EMT. Then when they made that decision or that commitment to actually go through the training program, they already knew what they were getting into, hopefully staying into the program, if you could. So the results, the first cohort, we started with 19. We completed 8. I wore my glasses today. It was a bad move.
3 hired.
And then hired 3. Now you can kind of see it was almost about a 50% attrition rate, which is kind of normal. But I will say that first cohort started really fast. We actually hadn't even built the program. We had a meeting, I think, in September, October, and we started that first cohort in January. So there really wasn't a lot of planning time. It was a really fast-paced move, and the Boy Scouts really hadn't been on board yet. The post hadn't even been created. The second cohort, though, we just graduated those kids. We started with 14, 10 actually completed. Whitfield County hired 6, and then we also had 7 EMTs come out of it as well. So you can see the improvements that were going, and that's only the second cohort. And this was that 14 students have already signed up for next year. So we've already had 14 students come and commit to either do the fire, the EMT, or both. If you could, the next one. This is the picture of our latest graduates. Those are the 6 that was hired by Whitfield County Fire. And then if you go on, those are the first 3 that were hired. I know a lot of people might have seen some of this stuff in the paper because we've had some pretty good publicity on it. If you could. What are our next steps? We want to expand our partnership with GNTC. We want to provide professional development for the fire department, put actual degrees in place for professional development, but also by expanding that, helps us expand partnerships to other school systems and other fire departments as well. So by making it a technical college program through the College and Career Academy, that'll still be on our campus, other schools, other fire departments can then participate as that as well. That's our goal. And then to complete that First Responders Academy with the fire, the medical, and the law enforcement, we're actually going to add the certified jailer. We actually have a post-certified instructor on staff that is ready to do that. We're just waiting from agreements with the state agencies to go ahead and start that. So hopefully by next year, by January, we'll have all 3 of the First Responders Academy up and going, providing that talent work, that talent pipeline for our first responders. If you could. And really the real reason why I'm here, Dr. Uten, who's our superintendent, he wanted to be here. He was actually scheduled to be here, but he couldn't. But on behalf of him, he definitely wanted me to just extend gratitude. Because honestly, when you talk about, I joke around, when you talk about putting high school students and, we're going to train them as firefighters, they're going to graduate. Before they even graduate high school, these kids are Fire 1, Fire 2, and EMTs before they even walk the stage for graduation. That's not normal. That's something that's out of the box. That's innovative thinking. And we have to have leadership that's willing to take that chance. And the school board, you guys for allowing the fire department, county administration, of course, the fire department. Those guys, I'll tell you right now, have been amazing. Everything we've asked, they've done. Anytime I go to them and say, hey, can we do this? Can you do that? We'll have somebody, we'll get it done, we'll do it. So, and then Bob has been great just saying, yeah, go ahead, do it. This is fantastic. This is what we need to be doing. So we're excited. Last 9 hires came from this program for Whitfield County Fire. We're excited to see the growth, and we're excited to see where it's going to go. So I just want to come, talk a little bit about the program, invite you to come to College and Career Academy, see you in person, but also thank you publicly for what you guys have done.
Well, we really appreciate you. It's not just the innovation of the program, but just like you said, that pipeline. We don't get 100 applicants anymore. Those days are gone. Back in the old days, you used to get 100 applicants for one opening. So being more proactive is what you guys are doing, and that's what you have to have that pipeline full all the time because we're having an older generation that are retiring. We need to get some new blood in there. So
They are.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions for? Yep.
All right.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for the commissioner's report. I will start myself and want to remind everyone we just relaunched our county website. You can go to it through the old address, whitfieldcountyga.com, but we now have the .gov, which is a little bit more standard as far as a government website, so either one will work. And I want to bring a special attention to the app. Now we have a Whitfield County app. We've partnered with our city, so it's not just Whitfield County government. You actually can get cities, even just events going on. If you had it last week, you got a lot of alerts about the storm, so there's a lot of different reasons to take a look and check out our new Whitfield County app, and of course, there's no charge to use that and to download it as well. Also, a little bit more good news. We have our West Side field. It's our second standard FIFA soccer field with turf. So if we have rains like we did last week, you can have those quick turnarounds where if it was a mud or a natural field, not only do you have to resod it and wait for it to dry out, you have all the other problems with the mud and all those type of things. So this is a turf field with lights for night games as well, and we're having our ribbon cutting tomorrow at 5:30. We hope the rain holds out, but again, it's a turf field, so we really can't hurt it, even if it is stormy or wet when we go out there. So please join us tomorrow out at the west side for that new field. A citizen sent me this. I'm not sure if you can make it out from the picture. I didn't see this in any of the media recently, so I wanted to brag on our firefighters. That's a Life Force helicopter landing on I-75. We had 2 trucks out there. We had to, whatever the jaws of life, cut somebody out to get them on that helicopter and then put out that fire where all bounds of I-75 were locked down until we could get that fire under control, get them out of there, and then get that out of the way. So really fast response. Even the person sitting there that took this picture, was noting how quick we got out there and got that scene cleared, especially with a critical injury like that had to be flown to Atlanta. So appreciate that, and I want to make sure everybody was aware. We don't just handle Whitfield County, even on the interstate. If it's in our jurisdiction, we'll go out there. Just a reminder about voting. Early voting is a little longer than it was in the past, so you can continue to vote all the way till Friday. And then we have late night voting on Thursday till 7 p.m. right here in the courthouse. And of course, the election at the polls is a week from tomorrow on the 21st. And no matter how it turns out, I just want to say that it's been a joy to serve the citizens, and it's been an honor to work with these gentlemen up here. So I really appreciate it and enjoyed it. Related to the election, there's a lot of signs out there. This is not our community, but I think there's some lots that look a whole lot like this. So I want, there's a few candidates in the audience and probably some more watching on Facebook or YouTube. We've got to get those signs up starting the 22nd. So I don't care if you put signs all the way to the Murray County line or Walker County or to Tennessee, not just in Dalton. You got to clean up your signs everywhere in the county. My personal commitment is to have them up in 2 days, but my goal is 36 hours. But I will have them up, and these guys will definitely hold me accountable if I miss one to go to tell me where it is to go pick it up. But everybody needs to get their signs up. I understand there might be 2 of you in a runoff as a possibility, but all the rest of the candidates, we need to get our signs up and get our community back to normal as much as possible. And that's it for me. Commissioner Jones?
Good.
Commissioner Thomas?
Good.
Anything for you?
No, sir.
Commissioner Robbins?
I do have a library board meeting
Yeah,
coming
thank
up
you.
on Thursday, so.
It's coming up.
Report next month on that.
Okay.
And they understand we're looking for a library director.
Oh, Darlene has
Yeah,
turned in her name?
retired.
Retiring, okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. County Administrator, you just 1 or 2 items for you today?
Just one item,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you. I wanted to talk about last Wednesday evening. As all of you remember, there was a really rough night here in Whitfield County with severe thunderstorms, tornado warnings. In fact, it reminded me of my old days living in Nebraska. I wanted to talk about what Whitfield County and our employees do, and not only to prepare for situations like that, but to respond to them. It all starts out with the weather radios. Over the last few years, our emergency management director has obtained grants, and we've given away hundreds of those weather radios to folks at the senior center and to anybody who wants one. Those are very important that they give people early warning to prepare for severe weather, so that we minimize the loss of property and God forbid any injuries or loss of life. I wanted to say that because of the severe storms and we had a lot of flooding, I wanted to give a shout out to people in Public Works who are out there making repairs to roads, closing roads that were unsafe, cleaning up storm debris. But I particularly wanted to note that that during that evening we had severe flooding for a mobile home park, and it was flooded so badly that all of the residents had to be evacuated. And I know our fire department was out there rescuing people to bring them out of there because it wasn't safe. I also want to make note of this. One other person, and she doesn't know I'm going to say this because if she did, she wouldn't have shown up tonight, but I want to give special thanks to Diane Franklin, our transit director, who in the middle of the night, I believe at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, got out of bed, got into a transit bus, and transported those folks from the mobile home park to Salem Baptist Church, and thanks to Salem Baptist as well. And I understand a number of those folks were disabled. There were wheelchairs and medical equipment and things like that, so we got those folks out, and that's very important. I also want to go ahead and make note of the fact the American Red Cross provided disaster relief services, and the reason for this isn't I'm not doing this to brag. I'm doing this to remind people. A lot of times we hear on the internet or in the news or on the talk shows the notion and the false notion that government employees don't care that they're lazy, they're stupid, they're overpaid, or whatever you may want to say. These are people, the hundreds of people we have working here, who have dedicated their lives to the service of others. And for the most part, when they do this, whether we're talking about the situation, the photo that Chairman Jensen sent, or what happened last Wednesday night, they do that without any publicity. They just get out and they do it. They don't expect anybody to sing their praises, although I'm doing that now. And I want you to remember that these are the folks who are protecting you, your lives, your property. They're going to be out there in the difficult situations where the rest of us were safe at home in bed, avoiding those dangerous situations, that weather. And we're talking about this happening every day, all day, whether we're talking about law enforcement, public works who are out there who will be maintaining your roads this summer in very dangerous situations with traffic, or the fire department, or emergency management who are taking calls and dispatching people in the middle of the night on Christmas Day, on holidays when we're all enjoying our families. So I want to go ahead and give thanks to the hundreds of Whitfield County employees who make this a much better place to live.
Thank you.
Talk about the Gator Walk.
Our finance report.
So let's talk about March. In March, we collected $3.6 million in lost sales tax. We collected $1.4 million in TAVT tax, and we collected $9.9 million in year-to-date revenue, and spent $14.3 year-to-date for the whole month. Our total revenue for year-to-date, again, was $9.9 million, and our projected revenue had been $10.09 million. Our actual revenue through March of '23 was 10.7. So we're running pretty close. Our total expenditures through March were $14 million, and our projected expenditures through March were 14.7. And our actual expenditures last year through '23 were 12.1 million. For the budget, our revenue was 151,000 less than what we had budgeted, but our expenditures were also less than what we had budgeted by 334,000, which gives us a surplus of 183,000.
Yep, good.
Our fund balance, our actual fund balance as of March 31st is 31 million. And then projected fund balance at the end of the year, as things go, would be 34.3 million, which is up slightly from February's projection of 34.2 million. The update on Splost, we've received through March of '24, we've received 79.8 million. And our project expenditures have been 50.9 million. And we're almost finished filling up the bond debt service. We're keeping the collections for the first of the year to pay off that debt coming at the end of the year.
Any questions for our finance director? Is there a motion to approve the finances for March?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. This is our first opportunity for public comments. If you called or emailed us in to be on the agenda, or if you just have a comment, even if you didn't, if it's on any of the agenda items that we posted earlier, you're welcome to give us your feedback before we discuss them ourselves. I do have Brian Spence, if you want to start us off.
I'm just here to, basically, I want to get a little clarification on the stormwater that's going to be put in place, the family exempt easements that we do. I really don't know where to start. I feel personally attacked doing this because there's two people that's doing it pretty heavy cutting up on existing roads, and we've done it I've done it for 24 years, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, now we're having to do this. And I don't know if it's attack on what we do, what we build, or the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I ask questions and I don't get no answers. Nobody wants to take ownership of it. Why you want to slow down the building? As of right now, what y'all putting in place, y'all don't realize how much that puts on, and it's going to go straight to the home. It's going to the homeowners, because I mean that's where it ends up every time. And for years I've heard all I've heard is we need affordable housing, we need affordable housing, we need affordable housing. 3 years ago, all I heard is, oh, we need $250,000 houses. We need $250,000. Young professionals is here. We need $250,000 houses. Okay. Guess what? Our entry level house now is $230,000, $240,000. Period. You go above that, they don't sell that well. You stay below that, I sell them all day long, wide open. With y'all putting in, what we have to do is going to add probably $5,000 to $6,000 per lot. So therefore, it's going to add $5,000 or $6,000 per house. We at 230, 235, 239. It varies place to place and how much we got in a lot. But once you put that on it, I built a house and put it at 245. I've since 2014. I've not sat on one house. I don't think I've had one house that we have framed that hasn't sold before I got it done. I've had a house for 6 months. I started it in November. It's at 245. The interest rates are 7-something%. That keeps going up. All right. You drop it below that, 239, 235. Get a contract next day. So if we keep adding to it, then our entry level home is going to be 245, 250, and then the economy stops. And I remember 2008. I don't know if y'all do, but I promise you I do.
Bad.
I do. And for every house we build, you know how much people that one house touches. Each and every person that's involved in that house, all the way from concrete guys to roofers to electricians to sheetrock guys to dozer guys to lawyers to y'all to banks to the whole 9 yards, the grocery store. Every dollar spent, for $1 spent, it's spent 16 times before it's saved one time. So that's a lot of stuff. I personally myself have built a lot of houses, so I know I've generated a lot of economy for this place, and so has Brandon. And why y'all want to add or stop us from building or slow us down from building, because that's what it does. And what we're adding to us, and it'll take us at least probably a month to get everything done that y'all are asking us to do, just to get the okays to build. You don't think that's that bad, but let me show you where we at in 15 days. Day 1, I dig a footer. I get it inspected and pour it. Day 2, they lay the block. Day 2, I get inspection along with that. Day 3, they're framing. Day 4, they're 4 or 5 days, the framing's done. So we're at 7, 8 days. I have to file a NOI as soon as y'all pass this. I have to file a NOI that I have to wait 14 days before we can even start after doing that. So, I mean, it's as much time versus it is money. because we do it, we move quite a bit, and Brandon does too. And the Smith Douglas and, what's the other one, big one here now?
Horton?
D.R. Horton. Do you know how much they had in a lot, in their lots? You don't have a clue. 70-something thousand in one lot. I don't know how they do it. We can't compete with that as locals. And you think, well, oh, we need housing. Yeah, we do, but we don't need that. Because every single sub, every single supply store, every bank, every realtor, everything they do doesn't come to this town or don't come out of this town. My subs do, everything I buy comes from this city or this county. I mean, I don't understand it. I ask, even going into buying a piece of property now, I don't know where my price is. I don't know how much I can negotiate for a piece of land, because I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. I've asked the questions, what are you gonna make us do for as the stormwater? Dead silence. Nobody has told me nothing. Well, it's up to your engineer. Okay, if it's up to my engineer, who's gonna tell the engineer what they want? I don't know. But I've asked you 3 times. I've asked Chris 10 times, and I get the same answer. Well, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, how you passing something that you don't know? Well, that's because I need to know. Because if I go buy a piece of land and then y'all throw something on me that I gotta put a catch pond in, lose 3 lots, and it cost me $50,000 for a catch pond, I gotta know that, because I can't buy that piece of land. I can't develop it. I need to know. I've called you a couple of times. Brandon's called you and you still ain't called him back. I mean, I don't understand. I was at your office the other day, and I still hadn't got a reply back on a piece of property that I bought. I mean, I don't know where it goes. I guess nobody knows nothing. But y'all gonna try to pass force us into doing stuff that y'all don't even know. And if y'all say if it's state requires, get the state up here. I don't care. I don't. Bring them on. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, we're just listening tonight, just so you know.
Yeah, I know.
We're
I
not
knew
making
y'all weren't
any
gonna
changes
reply
tonight.
back. Yeah,
No, we're
I
not making any
understand.
changes to the ordinances either tonight, so you don't have to worry about that. So we'll take all your feedback into consideration, and like I said, no action until next month.
And I got one other. I know he's gonna speak after me. And, Jevin, you've been a part of this too, on Sonia Drive. I walk in the door and I've done something illegal. No, I hadn't. If I got a piece of property and I wanna sell at any time, I can sell it.
That's the law, sure.
That's the law.
Yeah.
And this cat said, I've done something illegal. I ain't done nothing illegal. And if on the family exempt easement that I have done, I am keeping it. That's my 401k, basically. And if it has to be in my parents' name, my brother's name, so be it. I know they'll give it to me when they want to. I mean, and about me putting up a fence, I told him I'd do half, and if he wanted to do half, that's fine. But he don't want to do half, well, guess what? I ain't doing all of it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Randy, did you want to add some more? Just remember, it's 5 minutes, and try not to repeat if you can. Other than that, we're happy to hear you.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best. I'm kind of like Brian, I'm not real sure where to start. But I'll just ask a few questions. I get it, y'all aren't going to respond. I'm not surprised, but I'm a little disappointed. But let's move forward with that. So I just wonder, where do these new regulations, new interpretations, and new rules stop? That's what I wonder. I wonder where they stop. Because, you know, we've went through this rabbit hole several times, and I don't know that, I'm trying in my mind to wrap my head around what's the difference. And I've got a few things, I got a few ideas, but we've went down the road in 2017 where we had the state up here. We had the state up here on stormwater and soil erosion plans, and they explained that the county is overregulated. Greg was in on that meeting. So I'm trying to figure that out. So that was one question I have while we're enforcing this new stormwater soil erosion plan on something that's already been talked about and understood. I did stuff in Catoosa County recently, 5 lots right on the road. They're tickled to death to get it. I've got stuff in Murray County that I've been talking to the Dickey over there about it. Oh, they're fine. We'll do it. Just he even kind of comes about it. It's like, this is probably the best to do it like this. So I'm just trying to figure out why it's so complicated. Why is it so unknown when we get out and we buy something, what's going to happen, what kind of rules is coming down the pipe? Because it's always a new one. The one we did that we had the state involved on, you know, Chris and Kent said we got to have a stormwater plan. So I spent $25,000 on a stormwater plan. Started implementing it, and then all of a sudden, just couldn't make it right. So I asked for the state to come up here. State come up here, and yeah, county's overregulated, so you don't have to do that. Okay, that's great, but I've already spent $25,000. I was just happy to move forward on that one because I had some pressure on getting lawsuits on lots that I had sold that they couldn't pull a permit because we didn't have a plan. So I had a little bit of pressure there. So I was just happy to get that done. So I'm just wondering about the goalposts, why they change just for. I think there's more to the story. I think there's more deeper than just the stormwater plan. Like I say about Catoosa County and Murray, our adjoining counties aren't doing that. That's just the facts. And another thing, Brian talked to Mr. Civic a few weeks ago and was talking about, you know, projects that were in the pipeline. Well, so those in the pipeline, we'll work with you on those. Well, that's not what happened. I submitted a plat. As soon as I submitted, I've got 6 or 7 that I've worked on, small tracts that are being split into small lots, and I've already spent the money on those tracts with the intent of the previous rules that we've been doing since whatever. Anyways, they say I got to get a stormwater plan. One commissioner said, "Well, this stuff isn't in stone. We're still working on this. It's not in stone yet." Well, they told me last week it was in stone, and we got to go by it. So. I'd like to have a little bit of clarity like Brian. And another thing about the rules, stormwater, and Kent, you can add to this, but if you build a house on a piece of property, the lot's been there forever, you build a house on that, and when you start, if you get mud in the road, if you get mud in a creek, if you get mud, it's a state law, they can shut you down, they can fine you, they can probably put you in jail. That's in place right now. The new rules and regulations, all it does is just put one more layer of bureaucracy on all this so that we have to slow down. So, you know, I've asked the questions, is there a major problem that I've created on some road lots? I'd love to see it. If there's some stormwater runoff and soil erosion problems on something that I've done, please show it to me. I will take care of that. But usually when you put new rules or you interpretate things differently, you usually have a problem. Well, I'm trying to figure out the problem. I just think it's the problem's deeper. The problem's, in my opinion, well, and like I asked Mr. Civic, Brian asked Mr. Civic the other day. I did call you, Mr. Civic, on 5-2, left you a message just to ask you a few of these things, and I hadn't heard a word. Left a message on 5-2. I guess that's probably not been long enough. I'm not trying to throw stones. I'm just saying that was the facts. So I was trying to understand those rules because Brian had asked you about the stuff we had in place. So anyways, that's been, week or two. But Brian explained that you said the reason we've kind of got to stop this because of global warming. I'm just saying what I was told. Maybe that's not true, but that's what I've been told. I've been told. One commissioner said the developer's making too much money. I've been told one of the commissioners saying we just got to get rid of all these junky houses being built in the county. And I take a little bit of offense to that. I was born on, I lived on Mill Creek Road. My family had a 1,000 square foot house, and maybe it was junky to some people, but it wasn't to me. And my parents did a good job raising me, and I appreciate that. But some people think it's just crappy stuff out here. I'm selling houses to people. They're tickled to death to have it. Well, just because you didn't have to deal with that kind of poverty, I don't feel like it's okay for you to say, well, we just don't want that junky house. That's just offensive to me. So, and then about the easement lots. Well, I just give my son a lot. I haven't did an easement lot before that I can remember. Gene, I can't remember ever doing that before. You may remember, but I can't remember doing one that I had owned the property and I did an easement lot. But I did give my son a lot that I couldn't do anything with. It's in the field. It's a gorgeous, perfect lot for a house, and he's going to build a house on it. But now we're trying to push this new rule so that I can't do that. Well, if we're going to do away with easement lots, let's do away with all of them. No easement lots, and I'm okay with that. But I don't understand why we can pick and choose if we can or we can't. But I could get into a lot of I'm trying to hurry. I can get into a lot of the details, but the stuff we're doing, I get it. Some people might not like it or might not like but I'm just thinking about where a lot of these things are built. I'm looking at different properties around it that are half of the value of what we're doing. Very, very blighted areas, and that's where we're putting houses. And I just don't know of anybody that cares about location of some of this stuff. That's what's a little frustrating to me. But if we can just take one more second and think about that subdivision right there beside New Hope. I was talking about Smith Douglas. Well, Smith Douglas, and I'm not knocking them because I think it's good for our community to have housing. I'm not knocking there at all. I'm not knocking quality. I'm not knocking anything. I'm just going to tell you some facts. There's 68 houses built, and this is west of New Hope School. That development, they spend a lot of time on the road work. They put houses in, and they've sold about 2/3 of them. Houses are averaging about $300,000 in that subdivision. It's good for our community. Well, take that $300,000. I've drove in there 5 or 6 times, never seen a license plate any closer than Cobb County, never. So you take that 68 houses, multiply it times $300,000, that's over $20 million. How much of that $20 million in 18 months stayed in Whitfield County? I would say less than 2 or 3%. Is that? I mean, if that's okay, I'm maybe out of bounds, and I'll do what's expected of me. That's what I'll do. But I'm just a little frustrated with, and Smith Douglas buys the whole. They don't buy the land. They go in and find a developer to buy it, put the roads in. And I pulled all the deeds of where they bought the land. They signed a PT 61 on what they paid for the land and the lots, and they paid $71,500 per lot. And those lots, some of them are 7,500 feet. That's 6 lots an acre, $71,500. And they're making it work, which I'm glad, and that's good because those houses are pretty good size. But the last thing I'm going to say is our county average median income, and I've said this a few times, I think it just kind of goes in, one out, but we're averaging, the median household income in Whitfield County is $52,000 per household in 22. That's census, $52,000. If you go get a mortgage and you talk to a mortgage company, these guys can relate to that, but they'll give you about 28% of your gross. That comes down to $1,300 a month is what you can afford on the average income of Whitfield County. The average. Do you understand how much average house, the lowest house you can build, 1,200 square feet at R2, is about 1,200 feet. That's the minimum. And if you build it without a garage, it's going to sell for $239,900, $240. Their payment, taxes and insurance, with a 7 3/4 rate right now, is $2,100 a month. I just don't understand what you don't like. It's my main thing. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate y'all being on that board because that's not a fun thing.
Thank you. I didn't say I wouldn't respond, so I'll respond just a little bit. That we do not plan to exceed the state. You personally told me one-on-one that you think we did a couple of years ago, and that we are doing that now. So that I think I speak for the whole board that is not our intention. And if we are, then we need to figure out how or why or what we need to do. But that's certainly not my goal. I don't want to speak for the whole board, but I think I've spoke to several of them. That is not our plan to do. So if we are, we need to figure out how or why. And then I did also tell you that I would commit to checking the surrounding counties like Catoosa, Murray, Gordon County around us that you had mentioned. Maybe you and Brian both have built in those counties. So we are doing a check on how they're enforcing and/or not enforcing these different ordinances around stormwater. So if you have some more details, Brandon, like parcels or addresses, we're happy to like actually dig into some real life examples. Otherwise, we're just going and talking to their people and pulling down their ordinances and things like that. So if you want to, it's up to you, but if you want to provide some examples, I'm happy to have our folks look into that as well. Because we do not want to exceed our counties and we don't want to exceed our state law. That's my personal opinion. I think most of the commissioners will agree with that. Are there others? Gary, would you like to speak next?
Mr. Burnett called also to speak.
Okay, I've got a couple other names, yeah, that I just didn't have time to update my slide. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you for a minute. My concern is I've read over, like Brian and Brandon, and each one of them have talked about on ordinances and things of change and things that are taking place. But, you know, stormwater, I'm not a developer. I'm retired now from the counties, thank God. But, you know, it's one of those things of where that the property and things that are here, good Lord ain't making no more property. I mean, so these guys are at a real struggle trying to figure out where they're going to buy property, how they're going to develop, what they're going to do to be able to do that. My main concern is the family exemption law on it right there. The family exemption law was put into effect back in the 90s, in 1993, 95, somewhere right in there. But by being put into effect, Robert was our county attorney during the time that we worked on all of this, and it was set aside to be able to develop property where that grandma, grandpa had a 100-acre farm. They didn't want to really sell off on it, or mom and dad had that farm, and they were wanting the kids to live on the farm. That was the intent of being able to make, and it was to be able to divide it up, and you could have 5 lots on it right there, 5 parcels. At that time, and the 5 parcels was that my son, my daughter, my whoever living there, and that way I did not have to go through the subregs and things like this. You built your house because you weren't putting it up for sale, you weren't doing anything except hanging on to the property so that you had the kids right there where you were at to take care of you as you got older in elderly way. The thing that where we're at, as some of these have been misinterpreted the way that it's being used on the family exemption rule, and that is the minor subdivision rules will allow you to develop on main road by just having, if you got roadfront property, you can develop on. Well, everybody's not going to be able to get that, but by being able to make this property usable, they've actually switched over, and then they've held on the house for a year and then turn around and sell it to someone, whether it be a house, whether it be a duplex, whatever it may be, used on it right there. That was really not the intent. I do not want to see it go to the point of taking the family exemption away, because if my kids want to live on our farm, and which I don't have a farm, thank goodness, but you know, but with it being there, if they wanted to live on the back of it, you can't afford to put a paved road in. You can't afford to put all this, you know, $60, $100, $200, $300,000 into asphalt and pave it all the way back and make a county road out of it. If you was, then it'd be easier to go major subdivision requirements and make subdivision out of it like they're doing all over the county. But I would like to ask, you know, on this, and I apologize to Mr. Spence earlier that if it was taken wrong, I had asked my aunt and uncle live next door to the property that he was talking about up on Sonia Drive. They're elderly, they're in their 80s, and the property that they've got for using it, that's perfectly fine. It's their property, they can use it any way they want to use it for where it's at. The only thing that I'd asked is, you know, with it being there, because you're coming in on an easement coming in and putting, and it's being lined as sold for duplexes on it, the family easement law said that it was for your family. Now, he said he was going to do it with his kids on it right there. That's perfectly fine, but that really was not the intent to do it and hang on to it for a year and then sell it. You know, our big thing was where it was designed for families to be able to keep it and keep it in their families and be able to do. You know, my family, they're elderly. They don't have the finances to put up a privacy fence between it. He offered to pay half of it. I just cordially asked you to check on it, that they would take and, put it at 400 and something feet down through there to put the fence. Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but, those people like that all over the county, not just them, but other people have got for pieces of property that, that when you go in and you put in multifamily right up against them and they start stacking them in, right tight. And like I says, they need to get the most out of their property that they can develop it with. But I just ask that we really consider highly on the family easement, not to take it away, because you're gonna hurt a lot of elderly farms, elderly people. Greg's family, big farmers over there, each one, John Thomas's family, all of them got farms, different people on it right there. Those are things that we need to look at to still be able to take care of those folks and their families for where it's at. They're property taxpayers just like everybody else is, and we need to look at it from that level. And, I'd ask that, that we can do what we can do to go by the rules and make everybody, have the same set of rules. That's, Brandon made the comment, couldn't get a rule, couldn't figure out what the rules were. Nothing no more aggravating than to ask a question and you can't get an answer. Everybody said, well, you don't really understand. I do understand it because I was a building inspector chief building inspector here for 16 years. I understand exactly, when somebody comes to you and they're looking for an answer. But I know this is the first hearing and what you're doing, but I ask that, we do not overstep our boundaries till we killed our development, because that is the lifeblood of why we're here in Whitfield County. Thank you.
Greg Sutton had called in. Was he here? Yep. Hey there.
Thank you. I know most of you, so thank you for this opportunity. I like your slide, your voice matters. I truly hope that it does. So I'm here today on two fronts. One, I recently bought some land around, my home for the express desire, as this gentleman just mentioned, to hopefully have my kids come and stay there. I told them the only requirement was I didn't need to see their house, but I still want them there close by. And so I'm concerned that, as I've understood it, that if you put a surveyor stake in the ground, you've got to do soil and erosion. And so that doesn't just affect me, that affects all property owners who have any acreage at all. If you're going to put a stake in the ground and subdivide it or give it to your kids, are you going to make me do a soil and erosion plan? Now, I would talk to one of you today, and I was told that that's not the intent. Well, my question is, how are you going to police that? How are you going to make an exception for me as a homeowner and not make an exception for somebody else? Or how am I not going to get caught up in the rules and regs that you may have for a developer? How am I not going to get caught up in that? So I just see that the water getting really muddy there, and it's concerning to me as just a landowner.
I know one, didn't mean to interrupt you, but one way around that is if you're subdividing off 3 acres, then these rules don't apply. So if you have 10 acres and you're going to give 3 to your son or your family member, then you should be fine, the way I understand it. Somebody can correct me, Gene or Robert, but that's one way that it doesn't apply to you.
Thank you for that answer. Is that going to be in writing somewhere?
I think that's already there.
That's part of the first reading.
Okay, it's part of what we're talking about. We're
Okay,
not making an
okay.
action on it today, but that'll be
Okay.
part of it. So a lot of the controversy is around sewers, where you can put houses right next to each other, duplexes, and that, a duplex doesn't sound like something you would give to your son necessarily, but maybe it is. But our goal is to save the family farm and to have those 3 acres. So that's one way around it, to make it
Well, I
kind
mean,
of
I
black and
do,
white.
thank you. I do have some property that I'm trying to develop, and as I've talked to my daughters and their future spouses, more than likely, I've said, this is what I would do. I would, build a house, and I would, live in it and put some shrubs up and, get it looking nice, and then sell it, and do that a couple of times and try to, earn some money, and that'll be a good down payment on your forever home. But now then, you've just created a potential obstacle to that for these rules and regs. And I've heard it said by somebody here earlier, why try to fix a problem that's not broke? So if it's broke, where is the problem? I mean, I did some warehouses out near my pharmacy, and one of the concrete trucks got mud on their wheels, and I mean, next thing you know, the neighbors are calling, and rightfully so, and I mean, I had the dirt cops on me real quick. And I'm like, well, if you're already policing it that stringent, then why are we needing to add more regulations? I don't understand it. As I've sat here and listened, I don't claim to be an expert, but the word tax comes to my mind. This really does seem like a tax that you guys are doing. I recently spent some time last week away on a vacation. There was 6 of us that went, and when I went out to eat, it cost me almost $180 to go out to eat for 6 people. Now, we didn't have alcohol, had an appetizer, 6 entrees, $100 and almost $80 by the time you include tip. You say, well, why did it cost that much? Well, it's cost the restaurant more, right? They've had more money in their staff. They've had to do that. Maybe their rent has went up. Maybe the cost of goods, their food and everything. So what did they do? They passed that along to me, the consumer. Well, as I've already heard mentioned, if you do this regulation, I don't think it's going to stop anything per se. These builders, they're just going to try to comply as best they can. And guess what? They're going to pass it along to the consumer. That's a tax. That is a tax on the homeowners that are going to be potentially buying homes. Second thing, I've heard it mentioned here tonight about these out of town builders. I called a realtor, one of my realtor friends that I know, and I said, tell me your take on it. Just repeating what he said, again, I'm not an expert, but he said that you guys, being the commissioners, actually courted these big out-of-town construction people to try to spur development, maybe spur the kind of a development you wanted, I don't know, but this is what he was saying. He also was concerned that if these big developers come in and they start getting a bigger market share of the building contracts, well, they can push their weight around. They can have their attorneys come in and they can push this and ask for exemptions and this, and hey, if you don't comply, well, we'll just do this, or we'll just pull out, or we'll just whatever. And so he's seen time and time again where these big builders get special favoritism, but yet the local guy who doesn't have the attorney on retainer, he can't do that, and so it's almost one-sided. Well, that don't seem fair. That might be something that happens in California, but Whitfield County, Georgia, that doesn't seem right. If the tax dollars are truly leaving, as I think Brandon mentioned earlier with the development over there at New Hope, potentially $20 million, well, that money's left. Well, I know the county's not going to go broke. You're not going to miss that $20 million. How are you going to get it? Well, you're going to increase sales tax at some point. Somebody's going to increase sales tax. Somebody's going to increase property tax. You're going to get that money. That's a tax. So I'm just concerned about this over-regulation. If there's a problem, I don't see why it can't be just spoken about. This is why we're doing it, because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is why we need to do it. But if you can't clearly say what the problem is, then why regulate? It just doesn't make sense to me. Thank you for your time.
Jason Bearden? Yep.
Burnett.
Burnett. Oh, sorry. I wrote that down wrong.
Thank you all, gentlemen. Land surveyor, just kind of touch on some of these same topics we've talked about. What kind of brought this up on our end of it is a lot of times we're the first contact that the everyday citizen has in Whitfield County. When they don't understand the rules, whatever, they always know the first thing they're going to do is they're going to call a land surveyor, because they know they've got to cut out a piece of property, they deed it to their kid, whatever. So what prompted the email that I sent everybody, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, we had a client reach out to us. They've got roughly 15 acres, R5 zone. It was cut out in 2006 via minor subdivision. It was an estate. It was 4 equal tracts of 15 acres. This particular person inherited the 1 15-acre tract. They now want to cut out 1 acre for their son, gonna be accessed by a 50-foot family exempt easement. Just, what the intent was for the family to stay on the family farm. So we had caught wind, or rumor, that there would be some soil erosion issues, that pretty much anything that would be considered a common development, and this would meet the criteria, it is a re-subdivision of a 2006 subdivided lot. It's also off of a 50-foot easement. I gave Chris a call, trying to get some information on it. He said I need to talk to Bob. You did call me back, and I thank you for that. I still don't have a lot of clarification, but I advise the client that once we get the minor subdivision done, to meet soil erosion rules, you're gonna need a topographic survey done of the area. You're gonna need to contract with the civil engineer to create your soil erosion plan. Then you're gonna need to get a price from your grader to see what it's gonna cost to implement this. So, not including the minor subdivision, just the topo over this wooded area, I think it's an acre, acre and a half. Our fee was $2,500 for this topo. The civil engineer that he contacted out of Chattanooga was $2,500 for the soil erosion plan. He reached out with just a rough idea of what the civil engineer told him. There'd be some swales, some temporary pond, due to the topography of it. His grader told him that he would be in the neighborhood of about $4,000. We're at $9,000 in soil erosion before they ever get to start the project. So to put a timeline to that, the surveyors, every surveyor, if anybody's done any survey work in the last 5 years, every surveyor's booked months up. I told them it'd take us 8 weeks to turn around our portion of the topo. Civil engineer said he needed a week to get his portion of the stormwater plan done. Then we submit to the county. If everything goes well, 2 weeks, depending on the amount of comments, could take a little bit longer. So what are we at? That's 3 months getting it submitted to the county. Then we've got 2 to 4 weeks getting everything approved. Then you file a 14-day NOI. This everyday tax-paying citizen that has no idea that these rules are being passed is now 4 months into his project and can't even move dirt. For 4 months. That everyday average person has no idea these rules are coming down the pipeline. Now, what I did learn this morning is the ordinance that we're trying to pass on the family easement exemption is going to affect or only be allowed in SA or GA zoning. The issue with that, the majority of properties in Whitfield County are R2 and R5. SA, we don't have a whole lot of properties in that suburban agriculture. A lot of these large tracts are still zoned R5. So what process are we going to have in place for the everyday average person wanting to put a tract, an acre, acre and a half, because they only want to give what will be used for collateral at a bank. You don't want to give more. Barry knows this. They're going to give the minimum amount they can to satisfy the collateral at the bank. They don't want to have to give 3 acres, 5 acres. The minimum amount's what they're looking for. So what kind of, with these proposed changes, are you going to make the property owner go in and rezone their tract of land? If they've got less than 10 acres, they can't rezone to general agricultural anyway. We've got a 10-acre minimum, if I understand the ordinance correctly. So there's got to be something in the ordinance to protect the everyday average person that doesn't, they'll deal with this twice in their lifetime if they're lucky, maybe once. We've got to have something in there to protect that person. And then again, just to kind of follow up on some of the gentleman that got up and spoke about the graduates. You guys have poured in excellent resources. We have created some role model citizens. Like, I would dare say that those are the type of people we want in Whitfield County. I've got some firefighter friends. They're some of the finest guys I've ever known in my life that would do anything for me. But I think there was 9 of them, I think, that had graduated out of that. With what they graduated out, what we've produced, they couldn't qualify for one of these entry-level houses. And if we're going to start passing more, this roughly $9,000 that this gentleman's looking at for stormwater, we've just raised that 230-something house into the 240s, 250. Well, that certainly puts that role model citizen completely out of touch of being able to afford a house. And we need those people. those are the backbone of this community, and we've completely priced them out of homeownership. That's just, that's tough to swallow. I mean, that's just hard to stomach. And because I applaud those young men and women for what they've done. They did a lot of hard work. They should be able to afford a home, and
Yep.
we're not giving them that path or that avenue.
Now, would that, would that 3-acre change help your client, instead of an acre and a half, just carve out 3 acres and then he would be exempt from all that?
Well, the problem comes down to, a lot of times, they've either got an existing mortgage on the property, so they're only gonna be allowed to give up whatever portion of the property has been paid off. Most mortgage companies, they're gonna let the least amount possible up on the property. So for them to give a release, they wanna only let up the minimal amount, which, and Barry's done this in banking for, he can follow up on it. So typically, it's whatever the minimum amount will be that satisfies the subdivision ordinance, which falls into 3/4 to 1 acre. That's
Yeah, for septic
generally-
tank, you need that much anyway, right?
That's right, yeah.
So we're just a little bit above that, but as a
That's-
proposed, again, this is all proposed and only been out for a week, so.
Yeah, and
Still
it,
taking feedback on it.
yeah, and I'll follow up with this. So when the new ordinances came into effect in '01, there was a panel, I think, possibly Tracy may have been on, I don't remember. Martin Smith was a surveyor here in town that was on it. I was on it. We had several realtors. I don't remember, was Dan Strain possibly on this? But we had like a citizen review panel, folks that was kind of on the front lines that dealt with these regulations on a regular basis, and they provided feedback. It seems like some of this is being made kind of a knee-jerk reaction to some of the houses that's going in or some of the types of development that's going in. But instead of making that quick knee-jerk reaction, would it not be better to have, some of your engineers, your surveyors, your realtors, bankers? Because we all see it from a different perspective, and there's something to be learned from each trade that has to deal with it. I'd volunteer my time, and I'm sure there's other people that would volunteer their time to be able to do more of a comprehensive review. Let's get some comment back in, and let's craft some rules and legislation that fits all the citizens of Whitfield County, not something that's going to pull a rug out of, a family that's had a family farm, zoned R5 for their entire life. A lot of these properties, they were zoned R5 or R2. Some of the residential properties were zoned commercial. What was that, back in the, I don't have the exact time frames. Was that in like the 80s or early 90s, where they went through and did just comprehensive rezoning based on the future land use map? A lot of folks had they could have objected to it, but most of them didn't even know it happened. So, I don't know. We need to find a way to craft some rules and legislation that fits everybody. That's all I've got.
That's a good comment. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
That's the last on my list. Anyone else would like to speak on any agenda items? Could be this or other topics that are on our agenda. Come forward.
I did not request.
You don't have to be if you have a comment, as long as it's on the agenda.
It'll be short.
Just your name and address, please.
Right. Tracy Ward, I live at 609 Murray Hill Drive. I know pretty much everybody in the room. Well, I'll just tell you, right now, all I'm doing is real estate. Robert can attest to that. I don't go to court because we have so many people moving into the county, and I'm seeing an inordinate amount of people moving here from California, from New York. I'm probably doing more closings than any attorney in town for the last several years, so I get firsthand knowledge of this, and I ask people why they're moving here. Some for family, some for jobs, but they all talk about this area. They like the area, so this is a great opportunity because we do need new folks moving in. So I think our county has a lot to offer. I know it does. I was born here and grew up here, but from listening to everybody, it sounds like we have a great opportunity to come up and come together and try to implement some rules that actually these builders know about, that satisfies the state requirements, that satisfies the requirements so we don't harm our soil, our water. And I don't know that that's happened at this point. I haven't been really involved with this. I've just heard things, but I know 2 years ago when I came and spoke about the ordinance that Kent and Jean were involved in, and others where there was gonna be like 100 feet. I know the commissioner said, we'll hold off on that. I met with Kent. We had a really good meeting. Everybody came and he answered a lot of questions. I think something like that would be very helpful because if we're gonna continue to grow as a county, and we definitely are, we're going to need housing. And we do have a limited amount of land, so we need to make the best use of it. And I would encourage the board to try to come together with, or try to set up a meeting, some type of citizens review panel, whatever you want to call it, but some communication so we don't have people coming here and say, I just learned about this, and accusing people of, you know, hidden motives and other things. I mean, we just need to do what's good for the county. So that's my only comment.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Yeah, and just, okay, come forward.
Sorry, I called around to the county and they told me to come here tonight to talk about this, but it wasn't officially on the agenda. I don't know, but I talked to a lot of people in the county. Is it okay if I just bring it up?
Is it
Okay.
on an agenda item or?
No, they just said I was supposed to come here and talk
ahead.
about it. Sorry, I called a lot.
Problem?
It's been
State your
talked a
name.
lot. I'm Trina Weaver.
State your name and address.
Yep, Trina Weaver, 409 Treadstone Drive. We just moved here, so I'm new to all of this, but we actually live in Hopewell. It's been talked about a lot here. Manor across the street from the middle school and the elementary school. And I have 2 going to the elementary and 2 going to the middle next year. And I was hoping we could get some crosswalks and some sidewalks put in, because we could just, I mean, there's a lot of kids in my neighborhood that will be wanting to walk across the street, but it's not safe at all. So, and I've also heard that there's another neighborhood behind the elementary school. So there's a lot of walker potential there. So if we could get some crosswalks and some sidewalks, that would be wonderful. So that's it.
Okay, anyone else have any burning issues? All right, we'll move ahead with our agenda, but just to reiterate, my personal opinion is, again, we do not want to exceed the state law on any of these items. I think it was a good point. We have at least 30 days before we take any action. If we need longer to have some meetings and some further discussions, then we're open to that as well, so. This is the first item that we talked about related to the lot sizing. And again, I encourage everybody to look at what's in these, because it's not like a long list of things you have to read, 20, 30 pages. It's some of it is actually reducing regulations, so we're removing items that were in the ordinances. So I do want you to look for it. Don't take something for granted. Oh, we're adding this, we're adding that. Some things we're removing, and some things we're just simplifying. So take a look at it. Like I said, the commissioners have only had it for a week. Our staff has been working on it, so it is not dried ink by any means. So there's no action, but I don't know if the commissioners have any other comments about this or the next one, which is item 12, related to things like churches and events and parking lots, things, cemeteries, none of those things. They're all very kind of rudimentary things that need to be updated and or fixed. It's not adding a lot of expense. I know the one item for stormwater is a concern, so that's what we're looking at. But we're only looking at making this the state law. That's it. Any other comments on these 2 items? But please take a look at them. They'll be on our website. No action for at least 30 days, longer if we need it. All right, speaking of zoning, we've got 3 items on this one. The next one's got 2. On this one, the planning approved 2 of them. One of them was denied. There was quite a bit of public comment on the 3rd item up in Cohutta, and that one was denied by planning. Didn't see any public comment, and the first 2 were approved. Did any of you guys have feedback or comments on these 3 rezonings here? Any concerns with the planning board's recommendations to approve the first 2 and deny the 3rd one in Cohutta?
Make a motion that we accept the planning commission's recommendation on all the proposed request.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to accept the first two approvals per the planning and deny the third one for Cohutta. Any further comments? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further comments? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Two more items, both of these were approved, rezone to R5 and a rezone to GA. I don't, the second one there, number E is, or letter E is kind of a complicated one where we're sharing with the city and the county their piece of property, so that's why we both have to approve that one. Any comments on these? Motion by Commissioner Jones to approve both of them. Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. One annexation for the city of Dalton, a fairly small tract with a home on it. No land use objection was found. Is there a motion to approve that annexation?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton, second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We have one item to close a portion of Beulah Drive. It's the unpaved portion, I believe. We're going to accept the petition from the neighbors and set a public hearing for June 10th. So that's all the motion. We won't officially close it until we get additional feedback and have a public hearing on June 10th. Is there a motion to set this public hearing to discuss Beulah Drive?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. The tax assessors, we're required to provide them with the tools and equipment that they need. They've got two vehicles that are pretty much dangerous to drive because of mechanical issues or age. And we got a quote from the state contract for two small Broncos, four-wheel drives to replace those for $61,130 out of our capital fund.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve purchase of two vehicles from Ford to Dalton, $61,130. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. I think this is our last amendment for the finance for 2023 budget. So there's an increase in both revenue and expenses, but it's in our favor overall, the net. So we just approve the 2023 budget. The details are in the packet, how you get to those increases in revenue and expenses if you're interested. But this should be the final amendment for our auditors. Motion by Commissioner Jones to approve. Is there a second to approve our budget amendment for 2023?
Second, and I have a question.
Second by Commissioner Robbins? Yep.
Are we on track, Mr. Civic, are we on track this time for our auditors to come in timely?
And present?
I'll defer to Ms. Scott. She's nodding her head yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I did check
So-
on that a couple of weeks ago, and they were making good progress, so.
Last year they had a little,
We had to get an extension. We don't want to get an extension this year if we can avoid it, so.
but we're on track. That's,
Yep, we're on track so far.
okay, thank you very much.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Our transit service, so this is an agreement with the state, the DHS department to be specific. We've had this for not quite a year, since June of last year. I did a little research. We get about $18. That wasn't really clear in this contract, but we do get $18 per transport that we perform for the DHS clientele, and that amounted to $258,000. So that helps fund our transit authority, as well as grants that we apply for, federal grants and state grants as well. So every little bit helps, but we do need to renew that contract to be basically a subcontractor of Transit Alliance, which works with the Department of Human Services. Any concerns with this? Is there a motion to allow me to sign that agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Another partnership with a local company, Hamilton Medical. They are trying to get better pricing for those that can't pay for their health care and their prescription drugs, but they need us to help sponsor that. So this is really just a memo of understanding with them so they can pursue this program for special drug pricing for low-income patients.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. It was determined that our health department, I think most people know where that is, near our sheriff's correctional center and our 911 center, all up there together, does not have a lease. It was mainly, I guess, a gentleman's agreement going back many decades or many years at least. So we want to kind of formalize that with terms and conditions and ability to extend it or cancel the lease, and really just kind of formalize that so we can keep our health department moving forward and have a stable facility for them. Is there a motion to approve that lease?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Our award-winning Conasauga Community Addiction Recovery Center. Also, we are pursuing another grant. Of course, this is paid for already, the way we were able to open it and start servicing local residents and citizens was with the lawsuit, the settlement from the opioid manufacturers. Now we're looking for to apply for a grant to hire a second therapy person, so we can continue that. It will be for 2 years if we win it. We have had a pretty good turnout helping family members as well as those suffering from addiction. So we don't know if we'll win, but it's worth a shot. Is there a motion to accept the grant application? Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Another grant, this one we've actually already won. We just need to accept it. If you recall, we had to fund out of our ARPA money our domestic violence court, and we encouraged them to pursue some additional grants, which we have now won. So we just need to approve this grant, which will help keep us funded through the rest of this year.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Then we've got a property that was donated, I guess basically a 20-year lease for no charge by the Boring family, but there was no easement allowed for them to get to their other property. So they were nice enough to donate it, so we're just correcting the deed so they can still get to their other facility, the other property. Is there a motion to approve that deed change? Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We're continuing our remodel for the fire departments. We did some plumbing and showers, bathroom changes a month or so ago. Now we are finishing some flooring remodel. Again, these facilities are 20 or 30 years old. So we're just working our way, making these places more livable for the men and women in the fire department. Is there a motion to approve out of our 2020 SPLOST the flooring remodel? Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. And related to our fire department, we're a little sad to see our chief is retiring later this summer, but we want to appoint an interim chief to work with him in the meantime. And that person has been recommended to be Nathan Calloway. Any discussion on our interim fire chief?
Mr. Calloway here, I think I see him back there.
Yes, yeah. You want to come forward and give a 30-minute talk? He has been with the fire department. I know he's been working in the headquarters for a year or two, right, Nathan? 2 years, great. So continue to drain the chief of any knowledge as the time runs out for us.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to appoint Nathan Calloway, second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We have some vehicles that are surplus from our sheriffs. If you recall, we bought them quite a few new vehicles in the last 6 to 12 months, and so these are the surplus, either have mileage or mechanical issues. There are at least 2 good ones that I'd like to see if we can pass down with some minor repairs or just check them out, but majority of these would be auctioned off on Gov Deals. Any concerns or questions about these?
I see one that says Good Crown Vic. We need to save that. when we can.
Yeah, I think there's two Ford Explorers, or two Ford Expeditions and a Crown Vic, so that's good. Motion to declare these vehicles surplus. Motion by Commissioner Jones, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Something I've been looking forward to for a while is our brine program. So our Public Works Department has come up with some options there to kind of get our feet wet, so to speak, on this, so we can pre-treat the roads in the winter. We don't have a lot of snow and ice, but we have a lot of problems when we do. So this will provide the capabilities to spread that and treat our roads before it comes in next winter, if we do have any. Very pretty inexpensive way to get into it. It was part of our capital program for $25,000.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to approve the purchase. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. And now it's our second and final public comments. Yes, ma'am. Come forward. You can talk about anything. Doesn't have to be on the agenda. Anything on your mind? Maybe chickens. I'm not sure. Just guessing. Not sure.
Okay, I'm Denise Newton. I live on 145 Coachman Way,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
is on this road. And I really have questions, but I wanted to say a few things forward to that. First of all, I was told that what they are building on Old Dixie Highway and George Brock Road in that area is 70 chicken houses.
I have never heard that.
And I wonder why. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if, number one, if it's 70, I've got an issue.
No, we're not aware of that. They would have to come through permitting, and I don't think they could get through the building permits with that. I don't know how many acres that is, but it'd be difficult.
Right. Well, does anybody know how many they are building? Because, I mean, I can see 4 from one road and they're going back, and I know that was a hunting club, so it's a huge place. And then up on the other side from the dump is
Yeah, if you
3
could
more.
get us the address that you're talking about, we can see if they've applied any building permits or anything, but we're not aware of anything so far.
Okay, it's straight across from, well, it's not straight across. Where I'm talking about is across from,
All that's public information, so shouldn't be any surprises on, anybody can do that. We're happy to help you pull those permits.
okay, because that's what I wanted to know,
It's
because
total.
I was,
Can't be done in private. It has, they have to apply for their building permits and get approval and all that, just like anybody.
well, and I guess part of my question is kind of like what Tracy was talking about, is that how can the community not know that that's coming to them? I mean, as far as I can tell, nobody in our area has an idea. I know it's not the best. I think having the dump there, we've probably paid our part already. And I was very concerned at that number about how much waste.
I know there's some new houses right before you get to the dump.
Yeah,
on
right.
the left and the right, but that's like 12 or something. It's nothing like 70 or even
Right.
20, I don't believe.
Yeah, and part of
Side.
the question too was on George Brock Road, on the corner of George Brock, there's an address, it's George Brock and Old Dixie Highway. I read in the paper a while back that it was going to be a communication center. But unless they're doing them in chicken houses, it sure looks like chicken houses. So I'm just really questioning, what are we doing? Because we talk about the people in the county we'd like to keep. I mean, generational wealth is built from your property. My property has now just really gone down, I'm sure, because I can't imagine people going to be sitting there looking at these chicken houses and smelling these chicken houses, really want to buy my house. So I'm concerned about what has happened and how it happened. And having asked questions, I realized that a while back, with all the stuff going on in the Cohutta-Varnell area, they got some chicken houses stopped. And at that time, voting was Whitfield County, City of Dalton, and the Varnell area, maybe, that everyone except for Whitfield County voted for some more extensive protections.
You have to have a permit in the city of Dalton or Varnell to have a chicken house. That's correct.
Okay, so, but there's,
In the unincorporated county. But they still have to file building permits, or if they're not zoned, they have to come for rezoning. That may already be zoned properly, but if it's not, they have to come for rezoning, which is also public.
So the county isn't just generally zoned for that?
Not the entire county, no, only GA properties could you have chicken houses at all. And you still have to get building permits for those.
Okay. All right then, because part of my thing was, that if we're wanting to bring money into the county, that's our jobs. That's not jobs. I mean, you got the job of building the chicken houses, but once that's over, that land is pretty much done for, and a lot of land around all that. So I'm really questioning what's happened here, and I will proceed to try to get more answers. I would.
Yeah, we're not aware of anything like 70 or even
Okay,
17.
well, first I find out if that's true, but, there's more than 17 now, but they just,
Well, different piece of
Came down
property.
to
Yeah,
that.
I mean on that one property you're talking
yeah.
about.
Okay, well, I would like to at least find out how I can find out the information.
Kent, will you give her your business card so she can get in touch with the building and permits and see what's available? He's here? Okay, great. Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to him. Okay, I appreciate your time, and.
Any permits or anything that's going on?
All right, and I might see you later.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Mr. Long, name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Darrell Long. I live at 4310 Troy Lane. I came here because some stuff I got in the mail. For 9 years, I tried to get the county commissioners to give our seniors a tax break on the home they live in. For 9 years. Twice I asked that of you gentlemen. What did I hear? If we put it on the ballot, it'll pass by 85% and we don't want it. Anyone that owns a $100,000 house ought to be able to pay taxes. And this is the cutest one. Most seniors are well off. Last time I come before you gentlemen, I was so angry that about 4 days later I was talking to a group of people. And Mr. Casey Carpenter was in that group. And Mr. Carpenter said, I can carry that to Atlanta and get it passed and put on the ballot. And I said, that would be wonderful, but would commissioners don't, would commissioners know I can carry it to Atlanta. So Danny Sane and Casey Carpenter put together, because the stuff I had was 9-year-old, they put together what we got passed, and Casey carried it to Atlanta, and Tarvin and Ridley helped him get it passed, and Payne got it through the Senate, and the governor signed it, and it went on the ballot, and y'all was a little bit wrong. It didn't pass by 85%, it passed by a little over 90%. But that's how we got a senior citizens discount, is because of Danny Sane and Casey Carpenter and our other representatives and senators in Atlanta. You gentlemen were against it all the way. I'll tell you how bad you were against it. You tried to get Casey Carpenter not to introduce it in Atlanta. Y'all tried to get Tarvin and Ridley to vote against it in Atlanta. Y'all tried to get Payne not to introduce it in the Senate, and then, by gosh, y'all called the governor and tried to get him to veto it. That's what y'all done. And then I get this card in the mail. That's what made me mad. Partnering with the legislature to exempt seniors from county tax on a house $200,000 or more. This says that y'all partnered with the legislature. This is a lie, Mr. Jensen.
I don't agree with that.
This is absolutely a lie. And I just wanted to call you on it. It's a lie, and you shouldn't lie. Unless you're real smart and remember what you was told last time. But this is a lie, and this disappoints me and you gentlemen. Drastically. And while I'm up here, might as well catch this other one. Y'all have not dropped taxes. Y'all have dropped millage rate. Y'all have reassessed property, and we're still paying the same tax. Don't worry about how much millage rate you're paying. Don't worry about how much taxes you're paying. Worry about that spot down in the corner where it says what you owe, and it ain't dropping none. It's staying just about the same. On my rental property, it's going up about $100 a year. But you're reassessing all this stuff, and then you're dropping the millage rate. It's just nutshell game. But on the senior citizens discount, y'all done everything y'all could possibly do to keep our seniors from getting a discount. And if it wasn't for Casey Carpenter and Danny Sane and our legislatures and our senators, they still wouldn't have a discount. So don't take credit for something you
You
didn't do.
stand there and say whatever you want to,
That doesn't make it true.
but it doesn't make it true. And I don't appreciate you calling me a liar.
Do you want to talk to Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Payne, Mr. Tarvin?
I want to talk to somebody that's got a little sense.
Well,
And
I'll
that
get-
person's not you, because
Well-
you're standing there lying.
You're lying right here. You're lying if you say because y'all didn't even make a motion. Y'all didn't vote on it. I asked y'all twice and you wouldn't even vote on it. Nobody made a motion to vote on it. So what are you going to call me a liar about? You done nothing. You done absolutely, by George, nothing.
That's your opinion.
No, that's
And you're
exactly-
entitled to it.
That's
And that's
exactly
all I'll
what happened.
say about it for now.
That's
But I
exactly
don't-
what happened.
But anyway, that's
I
that.
can prove what I say. You can't. You're just running your mouth like you always do.
Well, yeah, I will totally own the mailer that I did. There's no problem with that whatsoever, because we did partner with the legislature. I never called the governor. I never called, Chuck or any of those other guys. So I don't know who did or who didn't do that, but I know I did not do that. Yeah, I'm not aware that anybody did. So, but anyway, I can say for sure I did not. Nope, no more comments. I will tell you, I'm speaking. I will tell you that law had bugs in it because it was not properly checked. And so Robert Smalley and myself worked with the state attorney to fix that law. Now, if we didn't want to do it, we would have called the chief of staff of the governor and told him to veto it, and he would have, because he's made a statement, any board of commissioners or board of education that does not agree with what we pass, he will veto. And we never made that call. And number two, Robert Smalley and myself fixed that law because there was bugs in it that would have made the whole ballot initiative invalid. And we fixed that at the last minute and went to a lot of effort to make that happen. So we could have killed it because it was written wrong, because they rushed it and didn't ask us, and we fixed it. And we never called the chief of staff of the governor because he said he would veto any law that the Board of Education or Board of Commissioners were against that have impacted their tax revenue. And we did not make that call because it did not get vetoed. So I'm totally for it, and we fixed his law and made it work and got it on the ballot and got it passed. And by the way, we're trying to find the $1.9 million that will impact our budget and make sure that does, that we can afford that. And we're more than happy to do that, and we've got our budget ready so we can pay for that $1.9 million in funds. Because you said we could go up on taxes, if you recall, if this thing passes and you wouldn't mind. But I don't want to go up on taxes, and we're not going to. And we're going to find that 1.9 million, 1.8 million, whatever it is that we need to do. So that's another reason why we're taking, I'm personally, not these guys, taking a little bit of credit for that. Nope, no more talking.
In the back and forth.
No more talking. The second thing is you said that we didn't lower millage rate 3 times, which is on that card. You can go to the Whitfield County Finance Group, finance page. You can look at what we collected in all the property taxes from everybody, not you personally, the whole county. And it's 3.9 million less than it was in 2020. I took office in 2021. So I'm going to say we have lower taxes because it's 3.9 million less. That's real dollars with your assessments, which, by the way, we don't have any control over the Board of Assessors. They like to tell me that all the time. But, they have to do their job and we do our job. And we're taking 3.9 million less every year. Go look on the website. It's audited. 21 million versus 25. 3.9 million less.
Well, I have done made,
No lies on that card whatsoever.
I've done made a suggestion. You brought it up. I made a suggestion when Miss Lynn Lauder was in there. She asked me the same question. How you gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
You look at your water bill, your power bill, your grocery bill, or your water bill, your power bill, your lights, everything, natural gas. It's your house. All that's got 7% tax on it. Major manufacturing in Whitfield County, on account of the law passed in the state of Georgia, has to pay 0 sales tax on utilities. But municipality that company is located in can charge up to 5% tax. The lady I had figure it said that 1% tax on manufacturing in Whitfield County utilities would raise somewhere between $2 and $6 million. And we're not gonna have no companies leave Dalton on account of 1% tax on
I'm
utilities.
trying not to raise taxes on anybody, but I appreciate it. Anyone else would like to speak? Is there a motion to adjourn? We're adjourned.
We're not sounding